One of the core fundamental parts of practice is that it happens every day, or close to every day. It needs to become so habitual that your child just does it as part of the routine. We often say it should be like brushing your teeth, and if you've heard that before, I'm sorry for repeating it, but it's so true. You need to build practice into your family's daily routine so that it just happens. There's no question about it. There's no debate. It's just what you do. If you're just at the beginning of building that habit, no worries, I'm going to help you out. This is the second video in a series called Practice Pie, which goes along with my book, Practice Pie, which you can pick up if you're interested in all the various bookshops. So today we're talking about building a practice routine or a practice habit. And in my pie analogy, this is the pie dish. If you don't have a pie dish, you can't build a pie. You don't have anywhere to put it. You're just going to put flour and water and apples and your chosen lovely almonds on top and just dump them into the oven on the heating rack. Is it going to go well? Nope. It's going to be a giant sticky mess. And that's the truth about practice. Many people focus on the practice strategies or improving various different things. But if you don't have the foundation, if you don't have somewhere to put it, if they're not practicing, in other words, you haven't got a dish, so you've nowhere to put it. So how do you build a practice routine? For me, it starts with no practice requirement. Now, this is different for different teachers, so I do want to put in a caveat that you should listen to your child's teacher, okay? If your child's teacher says it must be 45 minutes a day, I am not here to disagree with them. However, in my own studio, and if you don't have that kind of specific guidelines from your own child's teacher, I recommend focusing on the habit first. That means that your child just has to go to their instrument and practice something in the beginning. That's all. Something. Hopefully everything on their assignment list, but even if that doesn't happen, they have to do something. The truth is that for many kids, if there is a battle, and there doesn't always have to be, but if there is that stereotypical battle that you've heard about around practice, it's getting to the bench or to the area where they practice. It's not actually the duration, most of the time. Once they sit down at the piano, for example, the time tends to work itself out, in many cases. So I want you to focus on building your pie dish first, and that means finding a time in your day when your child can always practice. Now I know what you're saying, every day is different, with our families all over the place, we've got 50 kids in 1,000 activities, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. I was that child, so I understand. However, it's not a specific time always. So there's two different ways to build a practice dish. And that is, the first way is just an absolute time. You just pick 4 p.m. every day. We're always home at 4 p.m. Well then great, go with 4 p.m. That's easy. But if that's not the case, then I want you to tie it to something else in the routine. What else do you do every day? You make dinner every day. They do their homework 5 days a week. Anything like that you can find in your day that you can tie practice before or after. So the statement becomes, before I do my homework, I go and practice piano. Or when mom starts cooking dinner, I go and practice. Or while my little sister brushes her teeth in the morning, I go and practice, for those early risers out there. So it becomes just, this happens, so this happens. If this, then that. That kind of statement. This is part of building it up to just what you do. It's that ingrained in the routine that it's just a matter of fact. If this, then that. Now this is not going to be easy in the beginning, but you have to find a time that makes sense for your family. So one little extra tip is to keep a little log, a little diary if you're up for this, and to involve your child in it. Most of the time, if your child is in on the planning, there won't be any quibbles about it. It'll be about you reminding them. That's what I always tell new kiddos in my studio. Your parent's job is going to be to remind you to practice. Once they remind you, it's your job to practice. You have to go do it. That's your part of the deal. They're going to help you remember though, right? So if you're able to just help your student remember, your child remember, then they can be in on the decision making. So have a brainstorming session together. When might it work? Take the suggestions I threw out there, take some other ones, put it all together and see when you think it might work and when your child thinks it might work. And start keeping a little log. I like to call this an experiment log. If your kid's into the idea of running a little experiment, that can be really fun. So you write down the dates and then what you were trying. So this week we tried at the same time as sister's softball practice because she's doing softball every day, right? So, and then you make notes about that. Well, this was good, except when it's raining, she doesn't have softball practice, so we need a backup plan. And then you try a different experiment and you run several of these and you just keep it loose and fun and you're there to remind them, but they have to follow through on it, right? So maybe you'll need to go to the instrument with them, maybe you won't, but it's all about trying different things in the beginning until you find something that you think, okay, if we really practicing at this time of day, this part of our routine, I think it could stick. And then you just have to stick it out until it becomes so default, so natural that there's no chance of you missing it.